Hello, my name is Michael Garrick, and this is PoppinCulture Movie Reviews. My guest today is comedian and host of Preacher Kids on Queen City Network podcast. Did I butcher that? Was that correct?
Queen City Podcast Network. Like you sounded like an idiot, but like it's all good. No, I'm just kidding.
I felt like a network. I feel like an idiot. I was just like,
No, no, no. Queen City Podcast Network, but you got
all right,
all the words. It's all good.
nice, nice. Definitely check out the podcast, guys. Podcast, guys. It's a great podcast. His co-host is Tara Brown. Both of these guys are funny. If they're in your city, please go support them. Go see a show that'll have you dying laughing. Thank you again for coming on to the movie review.
Thank you. And Tara, if you hear this, I did tell him to say host. Uh we can power struggle over that later. Are we both co-hosts? Are we both hosts? I don't know how it works, but it's not his fault. Be mad at me is what I'm trying to say. And that's what I have to. Yeah, listen to it. Listen to. Maybe we'll argue about it on an episode. That'd be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. But I've checked out a few of the episodes, guys. It's definitely good. Definitely check it out, please.
Thanks, man.
No problem, brother. The movie that you chose was Midsummer.
Hmm.
This will be a 100% spoiler review. But before we spoil the movie, do you believe they should watch it?
No. I mean, okay, no. Let me say here's. I think it is an amazing movie, and like as a piece of cinema, I think it's incredible. And but to recommend it to everyone feels irresponsible because it is so upsetting. It's so messed up. So I would say if you're willing to like mess with yourself in a way that might last forever to watch a great movie, then yes. If that's too far for you, maybe not.
Yes, and we're not talking about porn. You can, it's always that one person who mess in the comments. Oh, I'm gonna mess with myself, and uh, I agree with him, guys. This movie is not for everyone, but if you enjoy horror, if you enjoy suspense, and you enjoy a good twist, definitely watch it. And I promise you, if you watch it once, please watch it again. Everything past this point is 100% spoilers.
Well, the other thing to add is listen, some of you might say Midsommar, okay? You're like better than us or whatever. Like it's more, that's like the more fancy. We say Midsummer, okay? And you just
Those
need to
people,
kind of, yeah, they're
those
the
people don't,
worst.
yeah, they don't say Target, they say Target.
That's exactly right. And they're the ones who are murdering people in Swedish villages, are the
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Yes. I just wanted to say, starting this off, this movie has the beginning of this movie literally, literally tells the story of the movie. Like the foreshadowing is
Totally.
so. That's why I said before we got into the spoiler part, if you watch this movie back to back, you'll be like, this foreshadowing is done amazing.
100%. Yeah, you like everything. So they go on a trip to Sweden. Everything. Are you saying like the very beginning? You're saying all
Yes,
of it up
yes.
to when they.
Even the picture in the apartment where the bear is like on the
Yeah,
painting on the wall.
absolutely. It's everything up to. Yeah, there's just so much you go back and look at it, and I mean, I guess we're spoilers, so who cares?
Yeah. Everything
There's
past that point, we're on 100% spoilers.
yeah, so like um there's that part when Pele, whose name I would not have remembered if I hadn't just watched it again the other day. The Swedish guy who they meet in America, who ends up taking them there. He talks about like how he is trying to like sympathize with that main character Danny, who lost her parents, and he's like, I lost my parents too. They died in a fire. And you watch that the second time, you're like, oh my god, they died in like the barn fire one year or whatever. That's yeah. I mean, that's you're very confused if you've never seen the movie, but
Yeah. When you think of this cast, The only person I knew was the guy from A Good Place. Like I didn't know
Right.
anybody else from the cast, but I think everybody did at least a B plus job. I can't say
Yeah.
anybody was really weak.
I think, yeah, Florence. So like the overall arc of the movie is there's this the main character Danny, this woman, she's in her 20s, probably, yeah, I'd say mid
Yep,
20s.
yep,
And her sister kills both herself and her parents using carbon monoxide from a car. It's that part. Um, and then they end up going to Sweden to this like midsummer festival, and the people there are nightmares and end up murdering everybody.
yeah,
It's kind of it's kind of an old school. In some ways, it's a really old school movie.
yeah.
Like, have you ever seen The Wicker Man?
Of course.
Yeah, it's kind of The Wicker Man 2.0 in a
Oh
way.
no, we're not going to talk about the we're not going to talk about the Nicolas Cage one. No.
Oh yeah, well, okay, yeah, no, we're leaving that up. But like, it's in terms of structure and the plot on a broad level, there's nothing new about it. It's just go to a place that seems nice. The people there seem nice. Oh, actually, they're frightening evil people, and you die. Like there,
Yeah,
that's a classic old school thing. But it's the way they approach it, and I totally agree that the acting, particularly of her name, Florence Pugh, is the actor who plays Danny. She is phenomenal.
yeah.
I
Knocks
think
it out
she
the
is
park.
absolutely incredible. How did you feel when you sorry, I'm taking over the interview. Um, I'm curious. I watched the when I first watched it, I watched it by myself in a theater because I'm a maniac. And after the first 10 minutes where we see where the sister kills herself and the parents, as soon as it sort of like the dread, the music of like when you're going through the house slowly and it's showing like the hose and all that stuff, like, so after that scene I was like, I might need to leave, like I can't do this. But I stuck around.
It it was definitely shot well. Like I mean, it kept my attention at every time. I'm big into like movies in general, so it's like, of
Same.
course, some things still scare me, but I'm always looking at it like it's still a movie. You know what I mean? Like it
Totally.
never like but once a movie does scare me, that's when I kind of because I'm more shocked than scared now at this
Yeah.
point. But yeah, that was shot perfect.
Yeah.
The cinematography on this movie, whoever it was,
It's
like he
incredible.
does every scene where they're sitting at that the table outside. If you just look at how the glasses are lined up perfectly, that takes forever, bro. Like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
takes
for sure.
forever. Like I can only imagine whoever that person was being like, all right, move it back an inch. Now move it forward. Like that had to be the
Yeah.
most aggravating work day ever.
Props department, art
Yeah.
department, like cinematographer, director, so much stuff has to, you're right, totally. So much stuff has to get into just setting that table.
Yes.
You're right. That's
Yeah. That
insane, man. Yeah, everything about this movie is so, like, whether or not you like it, whether or not you even think it's good, something that's clear is that it is exactly what the director wanted it to be. You can
yeah.
just tell because every single thing is it's so detailed.
Yes.
Every single moment.
Yes, I look back at it again today. For some reason, I thought M Night Shyamalan made this film, but it's
Oh
not
Lord,
him.
no.
Uh, you got, I mean, '90s M Night Shyamalan maybe, but like, yeah, I feel you.
Ari
Uh,
Aster. Yeah.
yeah, yes, and I mean, that is done correctly, in my opinion. One scene, just joking around, but the scene when they first get there and they're talking about doing drugs. Uh, I've never had someone go, "Hey, man, don't do that drug yet. I need to do drugs. We can't be doing drugs at the same time."
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a discussion. I was just
Yeah.
like, that was the only. It's crazy, but that was the only part of the movie. I was like, you
I
know what?
think it's
That
because it's specifically because it's a hallucinogenic and you want to like be on having the same trip at the same time, which is, I mean, you're still in your own head, but like, you can say to someone else, hey, do you see that? And then you might, you want to experience the same. I've never done mushrooms, but sounds kind of fun, to be honest.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
but yeah, so like, okay, so but like, that's a question I have for you then. Did you feel like, because you know how the whole time, not the whole time, but a lot of it, it's like it wants you to feel like you're on mushrooms, right?
Yes.
Because there's all of the like things are like wavy and the flowers are doing shit and all that. Did you feel like that captured it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I say,
Yeah,
everybody has different trips on different drugs, but yeah, like they capture what they want you to feel perfectly.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one question
I've
for you. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say I've never seen that, like I've never seen that specific sort of like trying to really make the viewer feel like they're in on the trip. I'm sure that's in some movies, but like
Mm,
that specific way, it was so intense.
yeah.
Like,
Plus,
yeah,
I wouldn't say it was easier to do, but whenever you have like real life wilderness, it kind of
yeah,
like hypes the
that makes
effect
sense.
up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, was it? I know it was implied, but I wasn't sure. Were they eating the people that just died with the
I
pubic hair and everything?
so I think I don't think they ate the people who jumped off the cliff. I think because remember, I think they burned them up. I think they
Yep,
like
yep.
but I think they were maybe eating their friends.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were trying to
I think
imply, but
so.
it never
Yeah.
said it, so that's why I was
Right.
kind of like,
I don't think they wanted us to be sure. I
yeah,
think that was intentional. But the pubic hair is the redheaded girl, because she chose Christian, the guy Christian. So she put her pubic hair in his food. That's what that was.
I also noticed that his drink was a little darker than everybody else's.
Was it?
Yeah,
I believe that. And so the details and the color, the thing that I really come away with in that movie, among other things, the colors are absolutely stunning. Like I've never, like, the richness of the colors in that movie are it's unbelievable,
it's
absolutely
scary.
unbelievable.
It's
Yeah.
scary sound of music. Yeah.
That's right. That's
How do
it.
you
Yeah,
feel about? Oh, I'm
you
working on
go
that, bro.
ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead.
talking too much. You go ahead.
No. You're my guest. Talk all you want. What are you about to say?
Yeah. All right, people are going to be like, this guy's dominating like a jerk, but that's all right. People have said worse. Um, I was going to say something, almost certainly. I feel like probably I had a thing to say. There it is. One thing that was crazy about the movie is I'd say I'd say what, 90% of the movie is in broad daylight.
Hmm.
And it's a horror movie. And for me, it was, I mean, I like to look at movies from a cinematic perspective as well, but I'm also a scaredy cat at the same time. So this movie, like, it took me over. The first time I watched it, I was not. I still was like, holy crap, this is visually amazing, but I wasn't studying it because I was too scared. um, but the fact that that all was an absolute broad daylight, like no tree, it's like out open fields, and then the way they managed to make that so scary was wild.
How do you feel about the pacing?
The pacing, it's a good question. It definitely is not a fast movie, that's for sure. Um, whether or not it's too slow could be, I, I don't know. I think I like the pacing, but I could be swayed on that. What do you think?
I loved everything but that dancing. I felt like that dancing was there because they were like, we need more. We need an hour and 30 minutes.
I I don't agree on that one. I think because it's not, it's like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, I was just being funny. Oh
No, I think the dance scene was actually, I actually love the dance scene. I thought it was like, um, and I'm not just trying to like just be like, no, screw you. Here's what I think.
no.
Um,
I did enjoy the dancing, but it was just it got to a point where I just felt like it was a long dance scene where I was just like, oh, this is still going on. Like they're still dancing.
oh, the length of it. The
Yeah,
length of it. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but the overall effect of the dance scene, I think it's a combination of everything. It's like trippy for lack of a better word. Um it's and it's also like beautifully shot, it's colorful, it's also scary. Who
yeah,
knew? Who knew that 30 like young like kids running around a pole, sounds like a stripper, but dancing like that, running around. Who knew that that could be so scary? It's
yeah.
wild.
Okay, you talked about it. Jumping off a cliff, that was definitely
Yes.
suspenseful. It was shocking. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, that just happened. But for me, um, I have to admit that I think the dullest kill, the kill that was kind of like, I wouldn't say they weren't trying, but it was just obvious, was when the guy from A Good Place died. It was just one
Yeah,
of those things like he's not gonna be able to walk around. For starters, he's black, so we know they see him.
dude.
Like he
No, go ahead. Sorry, I was just like
no
excited. That's what I was.
no, because it was just like that kill was the only one that I was like, oh, this was telegraphed. All right.
I think I may be giving the movie too much credit when I say this, but I think they were. This may be a stretch, but I really believe it. I think that they were um, driving home the racism of the people in the village, because they're just like, because they're all white, their whole world is white, and they talk about out with the black one,
Yeah.
like obviously they're talking about like a spirit or whatever, but there's all kinds of stuff about like black is bad, just sort of like put into it. And I think the reason his kill is so boring is they're just like, get the black guy out of the way. I
Could
really
could
do.
have.
I mean, you remember his leg sticking out of the
Yeah.
garden? That's not respectful. Like, and it's different from like, it's not respect. It's not thoughtful. They're just kind of like the black guy, whatever. I swear that, and playing on the trope in horror movies of the black guy always dies first. I
Yeah.
think it was intentional.
I mean, it could have been. It was just one of those things where I was just like, they were doing it. The suspense was just so well done. So
Yeah,
that part where it was just like, oh, all right, this is where he dies, and we
yeah.
push the plot forward.
Boom.
The the bear scene, just it gets me each time, bro. It's like, did I miss something? Why did they put him in a bear?
I think it's just part. I don't know if there's any. There probably is some kind of specific symbolism to it, but to me, I think it's just like they were like, "What's the craziest thing we could do?"
Okay, because I know why
But
he was killed. Because she had to get rid of what was holding her back. I believe that was the message. He was
yeah,
holding her back.
yeah, I think so. And I wonder, do you think that he deserved it? Like at the end of the day, how did you feel? How did you feel about him being burned up? Whether or not, like in real life, sure, we don't want to murder people, whatever.
Yeah, I was about
But
to say,
like,
yeah, yeah. I'm one of those people
yeah,
like, unless you murder, I really can't see murdering people.
right, sure. So in real life, yeah, I think we both agree, like, yeah, let's just not burn people alive in bear costumes. But within that movie, I'll just say I was like, burn his ass. Like I hated him.
Yeah,
I thought he was a good character, in that he was just the worst.
yeah. From the beginning, you were like, you want this person to
Yeah.
go. Like
Yeah, he sucks.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
He's here to go. He is
yeah,
no redemption. Like he needs to go.
he's the
Um,
worst boyfriend. He's the worst boyfriend ever.
Yeah, and even
And
at the end, they set it up for her after he died that she was supposed to. I guess he kissed her, so I guess they were supposed to date the guy from the village.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it seems like that seemed to be set up. Yeah.
yeah,
They so something that's really interesting, um in another interview, you and I talked about mental illness. So mental illness is interestingly represented in this movie too. Um, I mean, at the beginning, the sister who kills herself and her parents is bipolar. I think that people very reasonably had a problem with that. I've read a lot of stuff saying that that was a stereotype, unfair depiction of bipolar. Um, yeah, and that's a very valid criticism. it was still real scary though.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, so even though like I really do think they make a strong point when they say that it's like an unfair depiction of, but like it does add a layer of it being scary. I'm not gonna lie, you know, like I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, man. It's and I want to be as like not offensive at all. Like I'm not trying to be in any possible way my words being offensive.
Don't be a
I
coward.
okay, I hear you, buddy. Uh, I want to be successful too.
Yeah,
Look,
no, I hear you.
I used to work in a mental health hospital, and we
I
did
didn't know
have
that.
like patient. Yeah, this is years ago. We had patients that like we called it a hospital, but nobody was there for skipping church, and like we had patients that like did horrible crimes, and just to know like what this person has done, and then see how they are when like they had the right medicine, but sometimes they weren't on the right dosage. So you would see
Yeah,
somebody when they were like really, really having an episode. And some of these guys and females were like, their strength and their mindset was just, it was one lady, of course, I can't say her name because of HIPAA, but she had like 7 different personalities.
stupid
And
HIPAA.
it was one of those things where you said, what now?
I said stupid HIPAA. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
But she had like 7 different personalities. And like the first year I worked with this patient, totally fine. One day the doctor, I guess the medicine didn't come in on time. And it, you know, I'm not really a religious person, but it kind of looked like she was talking to like demons,
Yeah.
so
So you totally buried the. We had a whole thing about mental health. You didn't tell me that you worked at a mental health facility.
just because I didn't like when you told me your story, I just did not want to go like, hey man, it's people way more messed up, like I didn't want to like bury like
Right.
I feel like some people try to top people's stories and I never want to be
Right.
put there.
I wouldn't have taken it that way, but that's very thoughtful of me. But I'm thinking about now, like all the stuff that I was like saying to you. You're like, yeah, I know. You're like, I know better than you. I know way better than you. I know. Oh, I didn't know that, but yeah, actually, I did. Is that what
I
you were
tell you,
thinking the
I
whole
tell you
time?
one, I tell you one thing, man. We had one therapist, man. This lady, she was horrible, bro. I hope she's not a therapist anymore. But legit, like most therapists, like they would just like they would have like a guard, and then they have me in a room, and sit down, just talk to the patient. But we had one. She was just so scared of everybody. She needed them like cuffed this way, their feet cuffed.
Oh my
Like they could
God.
be totally good behavior, but she was just so scared that they would like try to attack her even if they were at good behavior for like 6 months to a year, they still had to come in cuffed right here and cuffed in their ankles. And it wasn't good for their mental health either because they would be like, Miss So and so, like, hey, there's no reason for this. Like,
Yeah, that's that's awful.
yeah, but she was just, she was just that scared of her. And then she had to have 2 guards with her at all times.
Then she shouldn't be working there.
Yeah, that's what a
Yeah,
lot of people
I know,
wrote.
but that's absolutely insane. That's
I talked to
you're
my
not going to
boss.
make someone feel good by putting them in shackles. You know?
My boss at the time told me that she was cheap. Like they got her
Wow.
for a very cheap price. The company did, so that was
Wow.
the purpose behind keeping her. But
Wow.
to get yeah. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, man.
No,
Uh,
man.
cool.
It's
What
interesting.
what did you think of the soundtrack or just the music in this movie?
Um, the music is the thing that I actually, and this is kind of surprising that I'm even thinking about it now. The music is the thing that I think got me on the most subconscious level without me having super duper paid a ton of attention to it. Um, which in a way is kind of the ultimate compliment you can give a soundtrack. I do remember the music making things feel much scarier and much more. I wouldn't like scary is not even necessarily the right word. This movie made me feel dread. Just like you kind of know what's coming, but you're like, please don't let it be that. 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 It's that. You know, I feel like the music was really created a sense of dread. There was like electric guitars and stuff. Yeah. Am I
Yeah.
making that up?
Nope.
Yeah. I wonder who did it. Was it Trent Reznor? I'm going to look it up while we're talking about it. What did you think?
Uh, I think it's the same compliment you have where it was exactly what most horror movies should be. Like unless you, I mean, of course, with Halloween you have the piano, um, but most when it comes to horror, you don't really have that sound that makes you think of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just very solemn, and that's a great use of silence also. So
totally.
um,
Yeah, there is like a lot of the stuff that was really scary, freaky, unsettling in it was the noises that the people themselves made. Like everything would be silent around it, but then they would be like, like making all those like create those like songs they did.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking
I
about?
know what you're talking about. It
None
was
of
just funny
them.
to hear the noise.
Yeah, that was a bat. That sounded like it doesn't matter. But they were like the songs I noticed, or at least it seemed this way. They weren't like the stuff that they were singing never sounded good. Like it never sounded. It was always had like dissonance to it, and it always seemed like it was like in a weird rhythm, in a weird like nothing they ever did seemed right. Everything seemed to be off.
Yeah,
I feel like yeah.
yeah. At first, I thought it was just like it was inbreeding, but then I was like, okay, that's not the angle they're going at.
Right. Except for the one prophet.
Yeah.
that was that's a lot.
Yes.
And yeah, I think something I read on the other side of the mental health thing is and this is interesting to me. A lot of people saw the depiction of Danny's the main character's mental health as very compelling and a good depiction, which I thought was interesting. It was like I didn't think of her necessarily in terms of mental health, but what I read a couple places, one article in particular was saying that the village provided like a support system and they like had empathy for her. So like in a weird way, they were like they were like a good mental health support system, which is really interesting to me because like they were like when she's crying when after she sees Christian having sex with the 17-year-old or whatever the hell she is, um and she's losing it, right? She throws up and then she's like crying, and then they run into that room and she's crying like she's like ugly crying, hardcore crying, like and then all the other women start crying the same way as her. You remember that? They're like
Yeah, but I thought they set that up for him to have sex with her.
well, they did, but I think what they were doing is I think the idea with a lot of their stuff was um was like empathy, was like feeling other people's feelings, right? So they like cried with her, and then when they would burn, and then when the guy fell off or jumped off the cliff, the Adastupa or whatever it's called, and he broke his leg but he was still alive and he started screaming, everybody else started screaming. When the guy in the fire started screaming, everybody else started screaming. Like there was this weird thing of like everyone feeling everyone else's feelings, which was I think that was a really interesting take to look at that as a mental health support system.
Yeah, I didn't even think
Uh,
about it like that. Yeah, you're right. They
yeah,
they did
yeah,
every time something happened, they would act out their other
yeah,
person's feelings. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
thank
I
you for
don't think that
sharing.
would make me feel better though. If I were her in that room and I was crying like I don't think like 15 other people all yell crying in my face would make me feel too good. I think it would just like I would be like, oh, I would just feel it. I would feel worse. Don't yell back my sadness at me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that one. Just like, look, we all can't be having a bad day. This is we got to get out of this town.
That's amazing. We can't all be having a bad day.
We
That's
got to get out of
fantastic.
this town. This is the town, not us now.
Yeah.
1 through 10, buddy. What do you give this movie?
Oh wow. Dude, for what it is, like for what it's trying to be, it's pushing a 10, man. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal movie.
Cool, man.
So I'm gonna give it a right around. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Nice, nice, cool. Um, do you believe that this movie will become a part of pop culture?
Yes, I think it
Nice.
already has. I
Nice.
mean, there's all kinds of memes all over like the bear. Have you seen the bear memes? And
Yeah.
like, it's even people who haven't seen it, they're gonna be like, oh, that's what that's from later on in life if they see it. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
I think it's already making its way into at least the national consciousness. I don't know about international, but yeah,
Nice. Nice, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the movie review, man.
yeah, man.
Please tell them where they can follow you, and if there's anything you want to say to your fans, let them know.
Well, I need to know what your 1 through 10 is.
7.
7? That's fair. I mean, you're wrong. It's a masterpiece. No, I'm just kidding. But that's okay. 7. That's fair. Fans, again, just want to like say in the future, if you're listening to this and you exist, that'd be great.
I've seen your stand up,
But
man. You'll definitely have fans soon.
yeah, I have people who've laughed. You know, there's people who's laughed at my comedy. I don't know. I wonder if there's anyone who like has seen me do comedy and every day or every time I like post anything, they're like, "There's that Jonathan Williams who's comedy. I can't wait to see again." Maybe one person, but I don't know. Anyway, what I would say to them is, "Wow, thank you for existing. Thank you for liking what I do. I mean, I get it. I'm hilarious, but like, not everyone recognizes it yet, and you got in on the ground floor." And also, if you're like single and attractive and cool and a woman, or I think I'm pretty sure I'm straight. I'm never all the way sure, but like, so let's say if you're attractive and you know what, even if you're a dude, just give it a shot. Worst I can do is say no. That's what I have to say to my fans.
Nice.
Also, they can find me Jay Williams Comedy on the things. Jay Williams Comedy. Jay Williams Comedy at Gmail if you want to email me for whatever reason. Book me. I don't know.
Oh,
And also my podcast, Preacher's Kids, on the Queen City Podcast Network. The Instagram for that is PK's Pod, PKSPOD. Don't go to the Twitter. I'm probably going to delete it. We never use it. Instagram.
cool, cool. Well, man, thank you again for coming on the
Yeah, man.
show. Thank you guys for listening and have an amazing day.